Welcome to the Well-Being Manifesto podcast, where we translate science and experience into realistic and sustainable ways of living. In each episode, we offer clear and practical strategies to support all aspects of well-being that matter to you, whether in your home, your community, or place of work. The Well-Being Manifesto is hosted by Dr. Moain and Dabrh and Dr. David Freeman, who have spent their careers advancing whole person care. Join us as we focus on real lives and real change, with less hype, more truth, better living.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, one and all, to our podcast, The Well-Being Manifesto. It is an exciting day. Here we are. This is Moain, and with me is my co-conspirator, Dave. So we want to start with introducing ourselves. Dave.
Thanks, Moain. I'm excited to be here about the Well-Being Manifesto. I think a lot of people ask, why care about well-being? And so a little bit about me. I was in pre-med, then medical school, then went into neurology. I've always been fascinated with the brain and sort of like, later on, I think through training, and I would say working in a tough environment in the pandemic recently, it really snaps into place the importance of well-being in people's lives and highly effective teams. And I think the last few years, studying a lot of literature around this subject, rereading Marcus Aurelius meditations, and I came across a quote about the Dalai Lama, which, to paraphrase, sort of, in the West, we burn our health to gain our wealth. Only late in life try to spend that wealth to regain our health. So I think that, and I think you and I cross paths, Moain, with some, high-level executive work in what we do in healthcare. And I'm honored to meet you, Moain, and love to hear your story.
So just to introduce myself, I'm Moain and Dabrh. My background, I'm trained in general internal medicine, geriatrics. I call myself a defected physician. So I became a scientist, and I'm still a physician coach, in health and wellness coaching. My background, and I'm a firm believer of this, everything happens for a reason. The intersection with your story is that I had a conversation with my parents really early on in figuring out what I want to do with my career and life. And I was never a person who said, I want to, I'm growing up, I want to grow up and be a physician. I just wanted to be of service and do something meaningful for me. And I didn't want routine. That was my other condition. So, but they quoted to me an Arabic proverb, which translates to, work for your daily life as if you'll live forever, work for your hereafter and your legacy as if you'll die tomorrow. So that really inspired me about thinking, okay, I'm going to live my life in a way that I can live forever, but I'm going to die tomorrow. So what do I want to do with it? And I wanted to get into a profession that provides a sense of service and mission and also satisfies me. And medicine was a natural calling for that. So here I am today.
And I think it's important just for the audience listening out there that, one thing that we found, this well-being space has become quite a exploding area that everyone seems to try to sell you something. I think the one thing about the Well-Being Manifesto podcast series is we're not selling any particular product. In fact, as physician scientists, I think there's one thing clear. We want to dissect through evidence and give you sort of the straight evidence. And we're not speaking on behalf of any organization or employer. So
yeah, it's a personal endeavor. And really, as we say, less hype, more truth, and better living. That's really our sense of mission here in doing this work together. And I don't want to even call it work. It's really a vocation for us. So we're excited about moving forward. Maybe we can share a little bit about what brought us to this moment today, to how you and I have come to start this podcast. And I vividly remember a conversation. I've known Dave as we are colleagues, and I've known him for years. And I've been a fan of his sense of mission because you've inspired me always. I've listened to you in a different, grand rounds or presentations, and I just appreciated your genuine interest in serving the mission of healing in medicine. It really always inspired me. So we chatted a few times, and then we had some opportunities where both of us served on some committees that are related to work about well-being and supporting healthcare professionals, whether within our place of work or outside of that. So we really were united through that, especially. And I recall this conversation where you and I in 2019, we said, I think there is more that we can do. And we
Exactly.
started kind of putting our heads together and talking about it. But then something happened, the pandemic, 2020, which just reshaped in many ways how we thought and what we thought about when it comes to well-being, but also it affirmed on many other fronts our need. And this is not only about healthcare. This is not about healthcare professionals. This is about everyday living, every profession, every way of living within home and outside. So really we thought, well, what can we do on our part to support this mission? So we have been thinking about many exciting things. One of them is this podcast. And here we are today.
Yeah, I love that. Beautifully summarized, Moain. And I think, yeah, the pandemic, I remember reading, sort of this mantra, if you will, during that time. And it's like, there's no emergency in a pandemic, but it was the writings kind of point back, to, thousands of years ago to the Oracle of Delphi. And it, that inscription sort of, know thyself. And so we were, teaching people in healthcare very, very tough times on people's well-being, making a lot of personal sacrifice. How do we get through this? And I think that's, I know we're both big fans of Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey. And I think that we all, each one of us, have that sort of hero's journey in our own personal lives. So I think we want to share the good stuff, but also some timeless teachings and principles over millennia. So maybe it'd be good for to kick this one off, just to kind of go over some history, just kind of showing the history of, well-being and being well, right? Because I think first off, is there really wasn't this term, well-being 2,000 years before Christ, and so I think in the upper left, the Egyptian pharaohs and physicians were actually these, thrice great. They were the healers, they were the inventors, they were the scientists all together in one. And so they knew these incredible, principles, then how to take care of the body, the mind, the soul, and things like that quite well. And then, 400 BC, Hippocrates, arguably one of the fathers of medicine, talks about let food be thy medicine. So I think you're going to see in this podcast how we try to wrap all this together. And I think another textbook that's quite ancient, or fabled to be quite ancient, is that of the Kybalion, the writings of Hermes the Thrice Great, and talks about the how powerful the mind is. And so I think this keeps propelling the content that we're going to be talking about, how it can help anyone. So I think about 900 AD, or actually 900 to 1037 CE, was Avicenna, another father of medicine, who talked about holistic health, sleep, emotions, and natural remedies, which I think ties back a little bit to Hippocrates. And then around the turn of the 1900s, Charles Hennell talked about this master key system. This is important because it'll make sense here very quickly what we're talking about. But I think Charles Hennell was really referring to what they call really the power of the mind. And in the Kybalion, it talks about how the mind is sort of the master key, for which all the other doors will remain locked without the master key. And he was referring to the mind, and that's sort of the there. And then within a few decades after that, in the early 1900s, William Osler, who many people know in medicine and healing, has some wonderful quotes talking about the importance of having a vocation. They didn't use the word burnout, right? They didn't use the word well-being back then. And the same thing for Charles Mayo talked about the importance for every physician having an avocation, something outside of your work that really sustains you, empowers you, rejuvenates you. And so I think the image on the bottom right really is where we are now. So we've condensed really about more than 3,000 years of history in a few minutes here. But I think what we're going to talk about next, and we'd like to sort of unpack some key phrases here, Moain. So if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I actually, before I go to that, this is such a great kind of a quick history, walking down memory lane in some ways, as far as we can get back. It's fascinating because you can see the evolution of the concept of well-being, and reflective of the times, of the needs, of the advancement of the times, or the challenges of the times as well. So it's really fascinating. But I've seen also this consistent and constant theme of mind, body, environment that kind of just goes through soul, that goes through them all in different ways. So this is really fascinating to see that progression, which brings us to what we are about in this podcast, and what is our philosophy for it, and really what our intention for it is. This is an opportunity for us that we wanted to create a medium for real conversations that reflects real everyday life challenges for everyone. So we're not here about just one group or one cohort of people or professions or anything. We really want to delve into the unique and the shared experiences. And as we're doing that, we are going to have conversations amongst ourselves and with guests, and also interacting with our audience in really unpacking what are these challenges, what are these opportunities, how we translate what we know through science, through experience, into potential solutions and approaches to really answer these questions, and making sure that we are anchoring well-being in evidence, not trends. So that's an important part in as we're going through it. And really, we want to present and share this together with purpose, with intentionality, and with the hope that it can be of guidance in mapping out your your way of living your life as you see it within the context of your life as a person, your values, your preferences, your choices, and also the resources available to you. So in doing that, we have some exciting work that we've been doing. Dave, you want to talk about some of these things that we want to share about in terms of frameworks? And
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think a lot of people ask, why care about well-being? Right? We live in an instant world and all these kind of things. But I think the conceptual framework we're about to talk about here goes from really the almost the quantum verse all the way to the macro verse, if you will. So, and I think you'll see how, if you use these frameworks, how they'll help you in your daily lives, because you'll see things sort of interdimensionally. And so I think what we've kind of framed, or what we call this sort of inner circle, which is the inner, your individual factors that have to do with well-being. Middle level is what we call the interpersonal circle. So again, personal, interpersonal, and then third at top we have what we call the organizational circle. So just to kind of walk you through the first, the personal circle, and MEDS. MEDS is an acronym. This checklist, or that you can see on the screen there, sort of like a mandala, which is a kind of an ancient bidirectional way to think about incoming and outgoing parts of the of life and processes.
Dave, tell us about that.
Yeah, thanks, Moain. And I think to the audience, these things, again, these are essentially free frameworks for you guys to think about. We've taken literally a massive amount of research to kind of distill these into useful frameworks, and for anyone, literally anyone, to help kind of put focus and attention on these things to have actionable and meaningful change. And so the M is for mind, which is, going back to that history there, the power of the mind cannot be understated on your daily life, your attitude, your approach, your perception. I think Marcus Aurelius called I think it was, his formula was perception, action, and will. And the way you perceive the world, the universe is relentless. He called it the logos. But your mind is the master key we talked about earlier, that everything flows through and comes through. The second is exercise. And that's just a reminder again on this checklist. There's a mounting amount of data showing how powerful exercise is on overall health. Exercise is twice as powerful as antidepressants. It sustains longevity, stimulates stem cells naturally, again, without any medication. D, as Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine. I think we're learning now more than ever how powerful the diet is, the microbiome, and the interconnection, too, between your gut, diet, and how it affects your brain, and vice versa. Your brain stress can affect your gut health. And again, a lot of these medications people took probably affect your microbiome, which affects your brain. So, and the last is sleep. Sleep is truly, truly a regenerative, restorative function. In neuroscience, we now know there's a mounting amount of evidence that sleep washes out Alzheimer's toxins, many, many other things, and that there's a minimum amount. And we live in a world where people are feeling more disconnected despite increasing social media and other things that are addictive. And so people are sleeping less, just putting it, in short. If you look at they're staying up till 2 a.m. and then wake up at a shorter time, and their brains are not functioning. So that's kind of a quick walkthrough of that inner circle again. Moain, would you like to talk about that middle circle?
Yes, I love the simplicity of this is that it's the basics, it's the non-negotiables, your real essential meds, really: mind, exercise, dietary choices, and food and nutrition and sleep. We all share these same experiences. We cannot go without these four. So really, I love the simplicity and the essential kind of checklist of this. Moving from the person, from thinking about ourselves, to what surrounds us and who surrounds us, specifically in relationships. When we talk about interpersonal framework, the embrace framework is really about how can we build, cultivate, and sustain um, um, connections with others. So embrace, as an acronym, really reflects these essential components to embracing one another and nurturing these relationships. So E for empathy is our ability to understand and respond to others' concerns, emotions. So it's a form of emotional intelligence, really. How can we navigate understanding others? The M is mutuality, reciprocal respect, understanding, emotional exchange, anything that showcases that we are really reciprocating in relationships with others. The B is the sense of belonging, feeling included, accepted, valued. That is an important thing. The R is respect, honoring the dignity, the boundaries, the voice of the self and the others. And then A is authenticity, being oneself, supported through a connection. So it's really honoring one another and recognizing who we are and how we respect that. Compassion, C, which is compassion is kindness in action. How can we be kind towards one another, not just through feelings, but also through action? And engagement, really, that relationships are constant, they are dynamic, they're not just one and done, in the sense of just you do think that this is how our relationship is going to be and take it for granted. No, it needs being present, being attentive, being intentional, and emotionally available. So and these are just these simple constructs that are important to building inner personal relationships. So then, as we move from the relationships around us. We think about how we can be in our community, in our place of work, in our vacation. How can we be leaders? So,
and again, these are, and I love the sort of inner circle, the interpersonal, and it is more complex, right? When you're talking, an individual is more, to other individuals. So, yeah, the third and highest, but yet interconnected circle is what we call leadership, an acronym, and you can see on this sort of diagram we made that it's composed of these. If you look at organizations and like social network diagrams, right? Each person being a node, there's an interconnectedness, as Moain mentioned, the interpersonal space. As you move out into larger and larger organizations, employers, jobs, institutions, etc. And the first one is really the first letter is L for listen. The best leadership skills that I've ever seen, the best leaders always listen. And I think there's a saying like, you should always listen twice as much as you speak. Second is the best leaders I've ever met that lead organizations and groups are engaging. Third is the power of appreciation and acknowledgement. So if you're a leader and you work in a team, but we've all been in those situations where you don't, it's the other way around, but the most engagement and comes from that appreciation and acknowledgement of the people that work with you. Fourth is the D, and that's really define and delegate. And so the best leaders, right, they can't do what 100 people do, so they really have to define and delegate who's doing what and so forth. Five is educate and be enthusiastic about it. So think of yourself like a coach. The best leaders, again, are the ones that get you fired up and wanted to do something. They help you find your purpose around a mission, and in fact, that's adds to resilient. And six is responsiveness, and I think that many people in leadership, I think, find a way to respond. I think email's probably not the best mode, but there's some form of response, and that's also kind of like a support or encouragement in terms of valuing what other people think. Seven is helping others. So I think two most powerful questions in business or life is, how are you doing? How can I help? Eight is synergy. So if you're looking at the organization and the group that you're working with, think about combining individuals and the teams. And I think Google, in fact, has a great article called the quest for the perfect team, I think, and they found a collective intelligence that comes out of teams in that synergy. And then innovation is key. Innovation is sort of always that engine that propels change and allows people to rise through it. And then last 10, the 10th letter is the P for people. Your people are your lifeblood or your organization. So these elements of leadership we hope you find useful, help you become a better leader in whatever you do at whatever level in your personal, interpersonal, and organizational life.
everyone is a leader within their sphere of vocation or work, community, no matter how you define it. Everyone is a leader, so that is an important thing. And I appreciate that gentle reminder that you shared, Dave, which is these are simple, evidence-based, powerful, and rich checklists. You can go back to them whenever you want. And in taking that into consideration, we want to share with you now one of the other tools that we use, which is the VIP core tool. So I jokingly say Marcus Aurelius has his 3 disciplines of perception, action, and will. Moain and Dave have their 3: vision, intention, and provision plan. So really, what is VIP Core? VIP Core is also a framework, a kind of a map that can guide you as a person in thinking, how do you want to reflect, think about, decide, and then go about and sustain any uh, action, goal, mission in your life. So it's a really very versatile, simplified, accessible, pragmatic, really practical tool that you can think about to use it. So the VIP core, as you can see here, is broken into these 7 powerful constructs. So to start with any goal or with any mission in life and thinking about accomplishing, we really have to think about these 3: the um, the what, the why, and the how. So the V is your vision. What do you want to do? It's your what. What do you envision yourself doing when it comes to this goal? Be it physical, emotional, spiritual, financial, political, vocational, whatever that goal is that you want to achieve. So what is it looking like? Then your I, your intention. Why? Why do you want it? Why do you want to accomplish it that way? And then your how, your provision plan, your plan of action. So, how do you want to do it? What is needed to happen? Thinking about the shorter term, the longer term. So, once we align the V and I and P, then we start taking inventory of our core values. We call them core values. And as you can see, W, not a no, because we love a good acronym and we want it to be creative, and it aligned well. So, the C is for our capacity, which is our resources, our abilities, physical, mental, financial, social, whatever resources available to us. What do we have in our kind of tool belt to take on this task, this goal, this mission? Also, the W is the work that is needed to accomplish it. How much efforts is it needed? How many resources or how much resources? What do we need to change? Is it going to be overwhelming to us? What can be helpful to minimize that? So it's really thinking about that. R is resilience, and resilience is such a powerful construct here. Resilience, we think of it always as the definition of it is the ability to bounce back from challenging times, from atrocities, from adversities, from any challenge in life. So it's really what brings us back, the phoenix effect, what I like to call it, as well. So it's really important because life is always, there are challenges, there are these barriers that we may encounter. So how can we come back from those challenges? It's not about how can we overcome. That's a different thing. It's more about how can we, if we are down, how can we stand up and move forward stronger? Then the last but not least is the E. Emotional intelligence is the collective ability of how we can navigate emotions in dealing with these goals, with these missions that we want to accomplish. How can we be smarter about it, more agile, and really navigate these things? So VIP Core is that tool that can help you achieve, think about, reflect on, plan for, and walk through any goal you have in life again, no matter what. So, and this is really one of the powerful tools that we use in our work and our conversations and with many others. So we're excited that we're sharing these tools with you.
Yeah, and Moain, I love VIP Core because it's sort of this arrow that shoots across the personal, interpersonal, and organizational to help you reach your goal. And I think in that history section, we there was a mention to Dr. Maxwell Maltz around the 1950s or so. He used some of these principles. I think that Charles Hannell and others talked about the master key and envisioning is an extremely powerful thing for the brain. And if you look at the elite athletes, Tom Brady, many, Michael Jordan, and so forth, they all talk about the same thing. They envision what they're going to do, that game. They can see the ball go in a certain direction. It's incredibly powerful. And that's another solid reference behind VIP Core. So, and I think another thing that came up with you talking about VIP Core reminded me of an article I read, and it said, you should imagine yourself as the superhero in your own life story, right? So, but it takes that vision. You are the VIP, very important person to, envision that VIP story for your own life. And it ties back to that cyclical, Joseph Campbell story. So Moain, where are we going next with this?
Yeah. So, what to expect? We're really, thinking about the future of this podcast and what we want to do. There are going to be different formats for this podcast, and always it's about having a conversation, asking the questions. So, we're really excited that we're going to have wonderful guests that are going to join us to have deep dive conversations about that can get us thinking, having these heartfelt personal reflections, what might resonate with you in your own life and what you want to accomplish for your life, for your health, whatever aspect of well-being that is important to you. And really we'll have plenty of hands-on guidance, experience, evidence, stories that we will share from leading thinkers, from various professions in life, from healthcare to finance to politics to leadership to farming to different really professions and facades of life. So we're really excited to share that with you. So whether you're wrestling with how to take care of your day-to-day health or fine-tuning your daily habits, whether it's just even delving deeper and doing more work because you're interested in achieving other things in life, we are gonna tackle those issues. We're gonna speak about them. We're gonna have conversations and have exciting guests with us. We're also gonna bring sometimes and once in a while what's currently happening in research. So we will have some conversations about newly published studies or older studies. What's the evidence about? Where is the debate? How can we decipher, helping you decipher what is the myth and the trend from the essential and the kind of confirmed or known, and where we go from there. We also have our newsletter. So we really encourage you to go and subscribe to our newsletter, where you will receive periodically these updates and about different topics. And we have our social media that will also share some of this information. Our podcast is going to be available on different platforms. So whatever platform you use, hopefully you will subscribe and join us and be part of this conversation. Send us questions, send us your thoughts or reflections. If you have any ideas that you would like for us to discuss, we're here to answer.
Love it. And I just want to piggyback on that last point, Moain. I think that, see each one of these Well-Being Manifesto kind of acronyms or framework as a lens to see your own life at each one of the interlocking circles. So personally, what self-meds, we've tested this out before talking about this, and other people find it valuable really just to put attention what they can do for personal improvement, interpersonal awareness, and then these organizational leaders. Really, it goes from in that VIP kind of story, making yourself that superhero in your own story. I also want to mention that, as physicians and scientists, we see a lot of stuff swirling around the internet that is, just putting it bluntly, this is kind of non-evidence-based snake oil. And so our goal to you is really to give you the straight evidence as we see it, dissect it out like Journal Club with, really robust dissection, because we don't see that happening out there. And then lastly, I would say that, we take care of people who are both well and what the term disease means they're not at ease. That's the original term. And so they're not well. And so there's a concept that people become vulnerable when they're not well to these kind of snake oil things. So I think we think like scientists, we want to do what's best and evidence-based at the time. Keep in mind that science is constantly advancing, but we hope to be that source of truth, dissect through science, see each one of these interlocking circles through this lens to help you, your life, and your journey through life. So Moain, is it okay to give a sneak peek or mention who's up next on the podcast?
I am so excited. Yes.
Yeah, so I guess I'm proud to announce with Moain here that our first interviewee is going to be Dr. Amit Sood. I've been a big fan of Dr. Sood for a long time. He worked at Mayo Rochester, where I think Moain and I were. He's truly the consummate, complete physician in terms of a well-being guru. And I think Moain, you know him better than I do, but
Yeah, I'm really excited, and we were honored and appreciative of Amit for joining us for our inaugural episode. He's just, before being a brilliant physician, scientist, researcher, mentor, and all these titles that he holds in life, he is the consummate compassionate person. Just a wonderful person inside and out, and I appreciate him very much, and we're really excited to have conversations with him and ask him the easy and tough questions about his work and what he does within the community, outside, globally. It's really exciting, so I look forward to it.
awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
We thank everyone for listening in. We're super excited where this is going, and please like or subscribe on the Well-Being Manifesto. We promise to bring in folks. We're still learning, and we hope to do our best to really condense down a lot of, like we said, sort of eternal, timeless messages, evidence that actually work, and also these are sort of agnostic to the background of the individual. These are sort of cross-cultural learnings across time, eternal, timeless kind of knowledge that can help. So without further ado, I guess, Moain, do we just say, be well?
Be well with your well-being. And we look forward to having our guests joining us, and send us your questions, your ideas. And you can do that by subscribing to the podcast and going to our website, thewellbeingmanifesto.com. Again, thewellbeingmanifesto.com. There is a button there to connect with us, and there are different ways: subscribing to the newsletter and submitting your questions or ideas through there. So we look forward to hearing them.
Yeah, and we'd be remiss if we didn't actually use all three circles. So please connect interpersonally and organizationally.
Indeed. We'll look forward to seeing you.
Thank you for joining the Well-Being Manifesto podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and leave us a comment or review. To learn more about this discussion, visit thewellbeingmanifesto.com. And remember, inward with courage, outward with compassion.